All right,
Dungeon
welcome
Doom
back.
Hands. Let's
Brief intermission.
talk lore.
A little water break.
A podcast.
Let's talk lore. We're going to talk about playing an Elderbrain. So this weekend we have a game where, actually it's Monday night, where we stream live, and we're going to be playing a Elderbrain. So I'm going to be DMing Elders, but there's 2 colonies that are attacking. We'll try to circle back to that towards the end of the segment as reflection, but for an Elderbrain, how do you even, where do you even begin? I don't even know,
Well, what are you trying to figure out?
Strong connection in the mind. So I feel like within 300 or 500 feet, whatever the thing is in the I don't have the creatures book or monsters book on me, but they have like a 500 foot or radius where they can, I think, interact with all the mind flayers. What they're thinking, they think. I think that there's some sort of
just like a mental connection.
Yeah, and the way I view that is like Starship Troopers.
Mm-hmm. Like the big hive brain thing. Yeah, I think it's the same. Exactly, just like that.
No, when I say same, I mean like the main goal. They are the queen of the hive. So
yes,
their goal is to survive. It's the movie Aliens. That creature's goal was to survive. That's pretty much it. But I was also doing a little bit of reading about just mind flayers. One person was saying that when you have 2 that are fighting up against each other, the mind flayer sort of wants to survive, which is its main thing, but it also wants to spread and grow the colony. That's the other objective. So I feel like somewhere between an ant and like an all-knowing. It's a huge gap there, but like those are very specific things. It's like the ant colony, everyone's out for the colony mindset, but you're also like stubborn and smart is how I would sort of run an Elderbrain, I think.
Yeah, well, very protective, but like having a whole colony fighting another colony. You're thinking of just like armies fighting. They're going to sit in the back and send their waves of troops to try and do whatever they're going to do. They're not going to try and go out there and fight.
But you have a colony of Strezzel colony, which are invading the town right now. And if the Elderbrain was there, I feel like half the troops would sort of be
protecting that. Yeah,
staying back. If the Elderbrain were to say, okay, we all have to go attack this place, I'm going to stay back over here, those guys wouldn't be
used
as body shields, essentially.
They wouldn't be wasted in the attack.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the Elderbrain they would attack, but they would.
The Elderbrain doesn't need to go there to take out the city.
So like defeating one is very hard because it's sort of like the Kraken. Like they only care about themselves. They want to survive. So if you get them at their like lower than like medium mid HP,
health. Yeah.
I'd say that they're going to start to think about moving back unless you can have a magic to stop that.
Yeah.
So that's like the basic
framework for the Elderbrain.
And then you add in the other stuff. And so one fun thing, I was thinking, because this isn't the first time that we've run into an Elderbrain. It's hard to run that. It's hard to like be like all knowing. If you're running like a monster that's all knowing, it's very hard to be all knowing. I have to tell you, it's a lot easier to play a character who doesn't know anything, because you can, it's easier to world build off of that. Believe it or not, not knowing everything and having it be more random. But if you're all knowing, then I feel like there's more pressure on you.
Everything right. Well, if they're all knowing, not necessarily all knowing of everything all at once. They're all knowing of what's in their colony and what the people in their colony would believe and know.
Yeah.
They're intelligent. They're going to be able to figure things out. But the information coming in might not always be accurate. So they could have a skewed view of everything just based on flawed inputs that they're getting.
I wanted to take that a step further. So during this brief research session that I had with my cell phone during cooking dinner, I was looking at and just browsing through, and I saw one guy in the comments, D&D Beyond, they have an article about, I think it's like there are 2 Elder Brains fighting or a run-in with 2 or whatever. They said, like, how would you run that? Like, neither one of them want to attack each other, essentially, to the point of, like, if you knew you can overthrow the other one, that's fine. But, like, you don't want to, like, run the risk of dying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, being is not
their
top priority list.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something silly and makes it awesome. Maybe one brain thinks one thing, and is trying to convince the other brain of that thing. And it doesn't have to be like a big religious, like, you know, that type of thing. It could be something as simple as, like, we've never seen the sky. The sky is blue.
I have your solution. The thing that they're trying to argue over is the vessel colony thinks the world is flat.
Wow.
Well, their logo is the one with the moon. One of the ones with the moon, right?
So the Strezzel colony is
Strezzel,
the moon. Their main base is on the moon.
Yeah. Okay. So they know the world is round, and they're coming to try. That's what the fight is over. Just like the dwarfs, the sky dwarfs.
The two outliers. The furthest you down on the ground, the higher they have. But the world, TBD. We're going to see how gravity. I have to do a lot of research. I'm really excited about figuring out the gravity consequences of having a flat world. With that. That could be it. Maybe they're trying to convince, or it could be something even simpler. And they were saying, like, one of the examples was just like either a color or how many hours in a day, and then like that forces some sort of, you know, because right now in our game, there's a dragon. You guys are completely overpowered. There's going to be a fight with like 2. There's going to be mind flayers fighting each other. There's going to be Elder Brain fighting each other. There's going to be dragons fighting each other. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
There's going to be a raging barbarian running through there soon.
And you have to
the portal out. Yeah.
And somehow figure that out. But how would you run that? So it's like, the Elder Brains are there, and they all can know everything, so they're all sort of protective, but it's a small area, so they can all fight. So you're going to have, maybe the Elder Brains aren't there, there's only one, you know, I don't know. But
well, let's set up the encounter in the third little thing we talked about.
Okay.
For here, let's talk about their motivations, how they're going to be interacting with the people around them. So when you were saying, like, 2 Elder Brains fighting, the one thing that comes to mind to me is they have their little sphere of influence of people who they can connect with. And if the 2 Elder Brains are close enough, I mean, you have the Elder Brain dragon there. If you have the Elder Brain, those spheres are going to overlap. So they're going to be connecting with random people on the battlefield who are fighting the other people. So you could roll each round all the mind flayers to see who they're controlled by. So when it's their turn, I'm like, all right, are you controlled by red or blue or green?
Idea. The mechanic of the fight, because you're going to have, like, essentially even and odd. No, you're going to have an even number of mind flayers, and you could just roll, and it's going to be either even or odd that it's the Strezzel or the.
Yeah. So you don't even have to, like, set up the sides. You can just have, say, 10 mind flayers there. And I mean, it's going to be a slow combat because it's a lot of shit going on. But you can be like, all right, who are you fighting for now? All right, you're fighting these people.
Yeah, I find that you guys are going to, you guys will figure it out, because there's no way that these guys are going to want to. So right now you guys are in the past and you got to get to the future. The Strezzel colony had the blue skull taken away from it in the future. It's coming there after the blue skull, and we know at that point that's when the Strezzel colony gets the blue skull. But you guys have the blue skull because you did a time heist. That's the squeeze. If you're looking for a squeeze with the Strezzel colony and how to get out alive, if there's one hit point and there's only one person left, hand over the blue skull is the.
So playing your mind flayer. went down that rabbit hole into the encounter. But playing your Mind Flayer, it's like they're going to have their influences. The individual Mind Flayers, they're going to have their own desires, but they do get controlled by the Mind Flayer whenever they need to. So that's why I'm thinking, like in the combat, you could have them controlled, but the Mind Flayers are still going to be excited about discovering a new species of bat.
Another thing,
they're going to have their own personalities that are unique in those situations.
Thing to play them because they're not really supposed to speak. No one knows what they're saying, but they can telepathically communicate if they wanted to. Unless they want to. Period. You guys have helmets. So if you have your helmets on, you're not going to know anything.
We're just going to see a bunch of people fighting, hearing nothing.
Well, that's
because they're all yelling at each other in their heads.
Helmet's really old, so you guys have to roll and function properly.
Well, that's a good point. It's like if they're all telepathically communicating to each other, you're not going to hear any yells, any screams.
Right.
If anything, you might hear a little squid scream or some random sound. Slapping. Stag gets a flashback to the room in the tavern.
Oh my god, it's going to be awesome. You guys are going to have, this is going to be cool. I can't wait for, one person's helmet to die.
Yeah, who knows? They get wind, yeah.
That's what it is. The helmet's going to last until you get to the time. It's going to be Mind Flayer on Mind Flayer, and there's going to be some weird gnomes.
Are you going to have Intellect Devourers in there?
Oh, there's got to be.
Yeah, okay. Well, so you're going to have a lot of different...
Yeah.
Coming into this whole taking over the city. Yeah, you have the problem of the all-knowing, of you have to know all of what's going on in the city, but you have your Mind Flayers, your Intellect Devourers, and that Mind Flayer dragon that's all bursting in, trying to get the Blue Skull, destroying the city, and their goal is to try and get that. So yeah, they're going to be
going out and getting it because they're convinced that that's a source of power, and it is because it ties. That's the inspiration. We'll talk for another time about the Blue Skull, but that's the inspiration for the relationship between the Blue Skull and thought and thinking and the power of the mind, the subconscious essentially. But I feel like playing a Mind Flayer for me is hard because it's when I say they communicate that to you, I feel like sometimes it's not understood that it's telepathic, and that imagine hearing something and then having to tell people, and then imagine being the person who's speaking to someone's brain and waiting for them to communicate to the group. I feel like there's a lot of
a delay.
Yeah, but you're ahead. If you're me and you're playing the Mind Flayer, and you're communicating to someone, you're ahead already.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I feel like a lot of the times when you DM these things, you get so overwhelmed with the idea that it's an all-knowing creature. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's very dumbed down and simple. Hey, did you know that the Earth is flat? The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat, and then that's all that's all you're hearing. You take off your helmet, and the Strezzel colony goes next, and all you hear is a bunch of 300 people saying the Earth is flat.
The whole colony is a cult about the Earth being round.
Yeah, it's and then the debates, and I feel like maybe for the debate, I would let you guys pick a brain. You know what? I'm going to have a debate at some point in this. At some point somewhere in this session, I'm going to run a debate where you guys will roll for it, flat earthers or round earthers, and I will be the round earther. But the stakes have to be high. Might be a death on the line. Maybe I'll team up with someone who is going to die, and then the other team, one of them has to die. And so you never know. No, I wouldn't do that. Maybe.
Well, I think you have a good understanding of how to run a Mind Flayer and how to think about it initially.
It's a tough one. Again,
it is. It's challenging.
It's a lot going on there, especially with the communication stuff. But fighting wars is also its own thing. And we did that before. So running a bunch of Mind Flayers to me is a little bit easier because all you're essentially doing is you just roll and average it out over the whole group things. But knowing how to set up one Mind Flayer will help with the whole thing. Is the more simple, more fun, more enjoyable opportunities.
The faster it goes.
Tons more world building opportunities because all this guy knows is, or believes is, he doesn't even know anything. All he believes is the world is flat. That is
nice.
it. Period.
Perfect.
Right?
Well, after the break, we'll talk about building up the encounter that I'm gonna have to somehow get through.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, cool.
This is Crosby. Crosby failed a deck save, causing him to get smashed by a giant alchemist in the Shadowhide realm. Don't be a Crosby. Roll high and subscribe.